I'm Zach Helke, sitting in for Jeff Miller. Optimism. We in the newsroom hear that word a lot, and there are even websites now dedicated to ignoring all so-called bad economic news. Just Google no doom and gloom and pick your own source. We observe this as a point of contention, starting with our November interview with jeweler Mark Levinson of Florida, who said being optimistic was the key to his business's growth during recessionary time. But we also hear from the dealers, both those I've spoken with here in Israel and those anchorman Jeff Miller has spoken with in the U.S., who say they're having no easy time keeping their chins up considering their own balance sheet debt and the undue pressure some banks have placed on this industry. Is there a legitimate reason to be optimistic? Jeff returns now with part 2 of his interview with Trends Research Institute founder Gerald Celente, which may help to fuel the debate even more.
Do you all see some measures, or maybe even opportunity, whether it's business leaders or government or, I don't know, the man on the street, could take at this moment in time to actually prevent the worst case scenario for the United States economy?
No. It happened because of over-speculation. Again, we forecast this would happen long before the Diamond Conference in September. We knew this was going to happen when they lowered interest rates to 46-year lows. They created an artificial bubble, a borrowing bubble and a lending bubble. A borrowing bubble and a spending bubble. The whole real estate market went up, and people started taking out home equity loans so they could buy stuff that they really shouldn't have bought unless they had the money to pay for it. The reason the government can't get us out of this is because of the very nature of the bubble. It was a speculative bubble. So there's no way to engineer out of it. There is going to be, again, there's going to be a period where it feels like we're getting out of the worst, but it's going to be a false financial flag because of the stimulus they put in. It is going to raise the economy, but only temporarily. The only way the United States can get out of this is through a productive capacity. Let's go back to the 1990s. There was a recession. You saw unemployment. Remember when Bill Clinton got elected? It's the economy, stupid. So now it's still the economy. But what happened in the 1990s was the internet revolution. Products were invented. They were designed. They were manufactured. They were marketed. They were serviced. And then all of the ancillary integrating elements along with it. It got us out of the recession. It wasn't as though Clinton got us out of the recession or Al Gore invented the internet. You know, it was a productive capacity. You need the same kind of thing to happen now. It can happen with an alternative energy, but not wind, geothermal, or biofuel, or solar. It has to be much bigger, because the problem, where they estimate $50 trillion worth of wealth lost in 2008 worldwide. How do you make that up by printing, what, another $50 trillion? What imbeciles are coming up with this program is beyond my understanding. You can't print your way out of it. So if we had an alternative energy like a zero-point energy, charge clusters, hydrino power, permanent magnets, a new kind of product that was, you had your own self-sustaining energy unit in your house where you were off the grid, something like that. But in the absence of that, it's finished.
How long this current, call it recession or depression, may be lasting in the United States?
Let's go back to, everybody likes to talk about Japan, the lost decade. How did Japan get out of it? They like to say banking regulations. No, they were selling product to China and more to the United States. It was a productive capacity. It's not going to happen without a productive capacity. So this could go on for our lifetime. until something new happens. Again, what got us out of the Great Depression was the Great World War II. It was a productive capacity. I mean, and we need that kind of thing. So no one could, and I'm always, I'm amazed at listening to all of these experts, the same people that didn't see it coming, that are now saying how it's going to end. So it makes no sense to put a date on it without a formula for success. And right now there's no formula other than let's print more money. I mean, listen to what they say. I'm not making this stuff up. They're saying we have to free up the credit market so people could borrow. And the banks could lend. Oh, great. Lend money for people to borrow when they're already $14 trillion into private debt. Oh, that'll fix things really well, won't it? So it's insanity to the programs that they're coming up with. And again, why should anybody expect anything different? The people that Obama brought in are the same people that helped cause the problem. Larry Summers, Robert Rubin's crew with Geithner, Orszag. I mean, these are the same people under the Clinton years that dismantled the Glass-Steagall Act that allowed banks to become brokerage firms and insurance companies. And they're the ones that deregulated the financial markets. So when I hear the president saying we need more regulation, wait a minute, you just brought in the guys that deregulated it. What am I, an imbecile? So it's not going to fix it. The same people that broke it are now hired to fix it. Isn't a definition for insanity repeating the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result? The only thing I could add is that the diamonds are very different than a lot of other products in the marketplace. It still has an intrinsic value that sparks people in a very different way. And that doesn't have to take the same downward path as everything else. I'll give you a good example why. The places, the people, the products, and the services that are going to make it in the Greatest Depression are going to have one thing in common: quality. The top is the only one that's going to make it, in the sense that it can't be average, it has to be the best of the best. People are going to spend their money on the best. And in this down market, diamonds don't have to go down as far as the rest. So even the best might lose 20% of them, what they did the year before. But they're not going to be average and go down 70% or 50%. Look at the auto industry. Look at the auto industry. February's numbers off, 41%? And I'm not talking about the big three. I'm talking about across the board. That's a depression. Those are Depression-era fall-offs. The best could only go down maybe 20%. So that's what diamonds, you don't look in terms of we're going to recapture what we lost. You're going to say to yourself, how do I stay in business, still make a good living, and cut back a bit? And they do have that opportunity. People are going to get married. People are going to buy gifts. But now the mentality has to be, don't waste your money on crap. So the message is, when you buy for the future, buy for the present, and buy for quality. Buy for an investment. So diamonds really need to be repositioned in a lot of ways, both subtly and overtly, in order to sustain the Greatest Depression. And they're probably next to gold in one of the areas where people are going to look for flights to quality. So it keeps going back to that, flight to quality. But by mass marketing it and bringing it in so many lower retail levels, they've taken the allure out of it in many ways as well.
In precious metals news, gold remains volatile as Wall Street investors hold on to their optimism due to the U.S. government pumping tens of billions of more fiat currency into the financial sector. On the whole, the metal is down from early highs in March. Silver is holding up well, though, while platinum is still about half of what it was 1 year ago. For all the latest industry news, please visit diamonds.net.